Skyfall is a 2012 spy film and the 23rd in the James Bond series produced by Eon Productions. The film is the third to star Daniel Craig as the fictional MI6 agent James Bond and features Javier Bardem as Raoul Silva, the main antagonist, with Judi Dench returning as M. Directed by Sam Mendes and written by Neal Purvis, Robert Wade and John Logan, the film is Bond investigating a series of targeted data leaks and coordinated attacks on MI6 led by Raoul Silva. It sees the return of the two recurring characters, Miss Moneypenny, played here by Naomie Harris, and Q, played by Ben Whishaw, after an absence of two films. Ralph Fiennes and Finney are among the supporting cast. Mendes was approached to direct after the release of Quantum Solace in 2008. Development of the film was suspended throughout 2010 after Metro-Goldwyn-Mayer filed for Chapter 11 bankruptcy, which caused screenwriter Peter Morgan to leave the project. Production resumed in December 2020 after Purvis, Wade and Logan were hired, and a November 2012 release date was announced in January 2011. Principal photography began that November after the film's title was revealed and lasted until March 2012. The filming locations included London, Shanghai, Istanbul and Scotland. Skyfall premiered at the Royal Albert Hall on the 28th of October 2012 and was released theatrically in conventional and IMAX formats in the United Kingdom 3 days later and the United States on the 9th of November to coincide with the 50th anniversary of the first James Bond film Dr. No, released in 1962. Skyfall received praise for Mendes' direction, cast performances, action sequences, cinematography and musical score. The film was nominated for 5 awards at the 85th Academy Awards, winning 2 and received numerous other accolades. Skyfall grossed $1 billion worldwide, the 14th film to do so at the time, and became the 7th highest-grossing film of all time, the highest-grossing James Bond film, and the second highest-grossing film of 2012, and then the highest-grossing film released by Sony or MGM. The next film in the series, Spectre, was then released in 2015. The title for the film, Skyfall, was confirmed at a press conference on November 3, 2011, during which co-producer Barbara Broccoli said that the title had some emotional context which will be revealed in the film. The title, of course, refers to the name of Bond's childhood home, Skyfall, and the setting for the film's finale. The main cast was announced at a press conference held at the Corinthia Hotel in London on the 3rd of November 2011, 50 years after Sean Connery had been announced as James Bond in the film Dr. No. Daniel Craig returned as James Bond for the third time, saying he felt lucky to have the chance. Mendes described Bond as experiencing a combination of lassitude, boredom and depression, and difficulty with what he's chosen to do for a living. Judi Dench returned as M for the 7th and final time. Over the course of the film, M's ability to run MI6 is called into question, culminating in a public inquiry into her running of the service. Javier Bardem was cast as the principal villain, Raoul Silva, a cyber-terrorist seeking revenge against those he held responsible for betraying him. Bardem described Silva as more than a villain, while Craig stated that Bond had a very important relationship to Silva. Mendes admitted that he had lobbied hard for Bardem to accept the part and saw potential for the character to be recognized as one of the most memorable in the series. He wanted to create something the audience may consider to have been absent from the Bond movies for a long time, and felt that Bardem was one of the few actors able to become colourless and exist as more than just a function of the plot. In preparing for the role, Bardem had the script translated into his native Spanish, which Mendes cited as a sign of his commitment. Bardem dyed his hair blonde for the role after brainstorming ideas for the distinct visual look with Mendes, which led to some commentators to suggest a resemblance to WikiLeaks founder Julian Assange. Bérénice Marlohe was cast as Severine, saved from Macau's sex trade by Silva and now working as his representative. Marlohe described her character as being glamorous and enigmatic, and that she drew inspiration from the GoldenEye villain Zena Anna Top, played by Famke Janssen. Ralph Fiennes was cast as Gareth Mallory, a former lieutenant colonel in the British Army and now chairman of the Intelligence and Security Committee, which regulates MI6. At the end of the film, Mallory becomes the head of MI6, assuming the title of M. During production, Fiennes stated that he could not say anything specific about the role, other than it was a really interesting part, which was really quite fun. Fiennes had previously been considered to play Bond during the casting of GoldenEye. Naomie Harris was cast as the returning character of Miss Moneypenny. Harris's role was initially presented as that of Eve, an MI6 field agent who works closely with Bond. Despite media speculation that Harris had been cast as Miss Moneypenny, this was not confirmed by anyone involved in the production, with even Harris herself dismissing the claims that Eve was in fact Miss Moneypenny. According to Harris, Eve believes she is Bond's equal, but she is really his junior. Another returning character was Q, played by Ben Whishaw. Mendes had initially declined to confirm which part Whishaw would play, and later said the idea of the reintroduction was his, saying, "I offered ideas about Moneypenny, Q and the flamboyant villain, and they all said yes to them." To play the part of Kincaid, Mendes cast Finney. The producers briefly considered approaching Sean Connery to play the role in a nod to the 50th anniversary of the series, but decided not to, as they felt Connery's presence would have been seen as stunt casting and might disengage the audience. Thomas Newman, who had previously worked with Mendes as a composer on American Beauty, Road to Perdition, Jarhead and Revolutionary Road, replaced David Arnold as the main composer, becoming the 9th composer in the series' history. When asked about the circumstances surrounding his departure from the role, David Arnold commented that Newman had been selected by Mendes because of their work together previously, rather than because of Arnold's commitment to working with the director Daniel Boyle as a composer for the opening ceremony of the 2012 Summer Olympics in London. In October of 2012, British singer-songwriter Adele confirmed that she had written and recorded the film's theme song with her regular songwriter Paul Epworth. She later posted the cover for Skyfall sheet music on Twitter, crediting the songwriting to herself and Epworth, with arrangements to both Epworth and orchestrator J.A.C. Redford. The song was released online at 007 a.m. British Standard Time on the 5th of October 2012, a day dubbed James Bond Day by the producers, as it marked the 50 years to the day of the release of Dr. No. The song was nominated for and won the Academy Award for Best Original Song. It was the first time a Bond song had won, and the 4th time one had been nominated. Skyfall also won the Brit Award for Best British Single at the 2013 Brit Awards. Now, Skyfall was a real return to form for Daniel Craig's turn as Bond. After the magnificent and superb Casino Royale, the very disappointing Quantum of Solace, Skyfall definitely falls in the more positive category for me, although not as strong and as good as Casino Royale. For me, this one successfully combines the classic elements of Bond films with a more modern and character-driven approach. That's where the strength lies in this film, is its character development, particularly that here of James Bond. It now delves into Bond's past, making him more complex and a relatable character. It also explores the relationship between Bond and M, giving an emotional depth to their interactions which we've never seen before. Of course, I have to compliment the phenomenal and wonderful Javier Bardem's portrayal here of Raoul Silva. It's a complete standout within the film. Silva is a compelling and memorable villain with a personal vendetta against M and a unique blend of charm and menace. His eccentricity and ruthlessness make him one of the more villainous Bonds in history. The film also explores themes of loyalty, aging, and the cost of life and espionage. It questions the relevance of traditional spy work in the modern world of cyber-terrorism and surveillance. All the while, of course, including several memorable action sequences, including the opening chase on the rooftops of Istanbul and the cinematic showdown at the Skyfall Lodge in Scotland. Judi Dench also delivers a phenomenal performance here as M. It's grounded, it's nuanced, it's layered, and it's very emotional. And of course, it was quite sad to say farewell to her wonderful interpretation of the M character. Sam Mendes' direction and Roger Deakins' cinematography just elevate Skyfall to a visual, stunning, and thematically rich experience. For me, the film strikes a balance between action and storytelling, giving depth to its characters and providing a satisfying conclusion to Bond's personal arc within the film. Look, this is definitely a must-watch for any Bond fans and those looking for a well-crafted spy thriller. While personally, for me, not as strong as Casino Royale, Skyfall, though, would have been a much better follow-up than Quantum of Solace was. With its superb acting performances, particularly from Judi Dench and Javier Bardem, its laid characters, excellent storytelling, and wonderful direction here from Sam Mendes, Skyfall gets a 9 out of 10.